Sup dudes, it's Snail. So the 2024 Bethesda Showcase has come and passed. I don't know if you've seen it, but today we're going to go over everything that got revealed in the showcase. There were some interesting things overall, and I think personally for me anyways, it was the highlight of the entire Xbox Games Showcase, which honestly, I wasn't really too big a fan of. I saw a lot of games that I just wasn't really interested in at all. In fact, there was one game that I kind of just looked at and watched and I just said, wow, this looks like Bloodborne for Zoomers. But that's okay. There were still a couple of things I saw that I did like and I am looking forward to, and some of it is even coming from Bethesda itself. So we're going to go over the Bethesda reveals and I'm going to share a little bit of my thoughts about them, just to give you a good overview of what got shown and what we can look forward to in the coming year. So the first thing we're going to look at today is probably the one I'm most excited for in terms of a brand new game release, and that's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Now, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle introduces a brand new Indiana Jones adventure set in World War II, so during Indy's prime. It involves Indy very much just doing Indy things. He's exploring, he's traveling around the globe, and a really extensive story bit that we get in this trailer. We see that he's in some sort of a frozen biome. Maybe he's like searching through an old warship. And this reveal cinematic shows us who I think is going to be the main villain for this story. And that's this cartoonishly evil German guy. And this guy just completely embodies everything you'd want in a cartoonishly evil villain. I had a great laugh while I was watching it. And honestly, I really recommend you guys go back and watch the reveal trailer yourself. It's really good. Now, aside from just that story clip, we do get to look at some selected gameplay clips. They're not very long, but they do show us some really cool things that we can expect moving forward into this game. However carefully selected the gameplay might look, it does at least look like something that most people are going to enjoy, even if they're not necessarily familiar with Indiana Jones. So it does look like there's elements for interacting with your environment, and you'll have access to classic Indy tools like the whip. And the whip is probably my favorite addition here. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun smacking people in the face with that thing. As well, I also want to point out that the hand-to-hand combat in particular looks like there's actually thought behind a system of like counters and attacks and blocking that is going to make it a really satisfying combat experience. So that is also something huge to look forward to. So far, just based on the reveal, I'm pretty optimistic about the whole game. It looks like it's going to be a faithful addition to Indy's story, almost as if the films have been satisfyingly adopted into a gameplay format that we're all more or less familiar with. So next up is Doom: The Dark Ages, and this is the newest offering from id Software, and it looks pretty cool actually. The idea of playing Doom in a dark fantasy setting is pretty tight, and I've got to admit, Doom Guy's new fit slaps. Now other than that, we don't really get many details during the reveal, like we don't really get a handle on the story or whatever, just that this may involve gods and kings and whatnot, and obviously as Doom Guy you're still fighting demons and whatnot. It's just that it's not really set on Mars anymore. That's the only difference here. Otherwise, you can pretty much expect the same exact Doom experience that we've gotten for the past two games, and I personally think that's a good thing. Doom should always be relatively comfortable to slip into, and it should never be too far from what makes Doom Doom. Now, I'm not going to lie. Yes, I thought the shield was a little lame until I realized that the shield is a fucking chainsaw. That is the coolest design decision I've ever seen for a shield. And while we're on the subject of cool items and objects, let's talk about the animations, which are smooth as hell in this game. Now yeah, I know I said there weren't really a lot of details shared in this reveal, but hey listen, this is Doom, okay? Details are not important in Doom. Only the violence is, and it looks like violence is gonna be top notch in this game. I'm really looking forward to Doom: The Dark Ages. And of course, next up is Starfield Shattered Space. Yeah, that's right, they finally revealed their DLC for Starfield. And we get to have a decent first look at what it brings to us. Now, I know I've talked a lot of smack about this game since it was released, partially because it just didn't really live up to expectations for me, but this reveal is actually pretty promising. And for two reasons. One, we're getting what looks like a cosmic horror-inspired DLC. Now, this is cool because one of my biggest complaints about Starfield was that everyone is just so nice for like no reason. Like even the hardened pirates are just ultimately really nice guys with good intentions. Like that's not what I want, dude. Give me some like actually bad individuals and factions. This is space after all. It's supposed to be a lawless frontier. So hopefully with this DLC, we get a story that is actually written for adults this time around, and we get some good role-playing opportunities to pair with that story as well. And reason number two, we're getting the Starfield creation kit. This is massive because the creation kit Kit essentially gives modders a lot of the same tools that developers have when they make these games. This is going to lead to some fantastic mods finally coming out for Starfield, and just to give you an example, the Creation Kit can help make these unbelievably transformative mod experiences like we see in Fallout 4, and it makes it possible by giving modders tools and the access necessary to make it happen. So back to the DLC, it largely concerns itself with House Veyron, a mystical cult-like faction that worships a space snake or something. I don't know, I don't really pay attention in Starfield. We get new locations and of course a DLC story quest as well. I have to be honest, despite all the bad things I've ever said about Starfield, I'm probably going to dust off Game Pass. I'm not gonna buy the game, are you kidding? And play it again, just to see what the DLC is like. And good news, we won't have to wait too long because all the content in this reveal is coming out in 2024. Now finally, we have some news about Fallout. Okay, let's see what it is.
Waltathon 76
Oh,
is
it's
sponsored in
for
part
76. Okay. Look, I'm not a fan of 76. I can't really find any enjoyment in playing it. So for me, this announcement felt a lot like when your mom says she's taking you to McDonald's, but you've somehow ended up at Burger King instead. I mean, okay, it's something, but not really what I was hoping for. But for what it's worth, the expansion looks kind of neat. Skyline Valley is an entire expansion added to the Appalachia map, and of course it brings brand new quests and enemies, and of course an array of microtransaction content to the game for those of you who are interested in that sort of thing. The expansion also adds a brand new vault named Vault 63, and the vault is central to the expansion's story. Based on the footage, we're also going to be getting a brand new type of power armor, although I can't really confirm this. However, despite my general disinterest with everything to do with Fallout 76, there is one thing that I can admit is really cool, and that's that this expansion will give players the opportunity to play as a ghoul. Now, I always felt this was something we should have had as a choice in other Fallout games prior, and in addition, I really hope that Bethesda has made changes to NPC dialogue to let players better immerse themselves in the world of Fallout as a ghoul. Now, with playing as a ghoul aside, this expansion is going to be coming on June 12th, that's just in a couple days, so if 76 is your thing, make sure you keep an eye out for that. Now, the final thing that Bethesda has to show off for the game's showcase is a 10-year anniversary trailer for The Elder Scrolls Online. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've never played an Elder Scrolls game, probably never will, and if I did, it certainly wouldn't be Elder Scrolls Online, so I don't know the first thing about this game, okay? Other than it's in a fantasy setting, and it's an MMORPG by Bethesda Game Studios. That's about it. Nevertheless, it looks like this trailer is in celebration of the 10-year anniversary. It doesn't really point out anything new, but the Elder Scrolls Online subscription, which is named ESO Plus, is going to be free from June 9th through to June 19th. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you check that out. There's also Gold Road, which is a new expansion that just came out, and apparently it brings some areas that players haven't seen since Oblivion and puts them in the Elder Scrolls Online for players to enjoy. Now, being that I don't personally play this game series or have any interest in it whatsoever, there's really not much more I can add to the conversation except that I genuinely liked the cinematics here, and I thought it was a pretty cool trailer, but that's really about all I have to offer here. Now, Bethesda aside, we are getting some other cool games. The Xbox Games Showcase was not a complete wash. There was some genuinely neat stuff we can look forward to in there, at least for me, that I can look forward to. There's a new STALKER game coming, which I'm probably going to try out. And of course, you know I screamed my head off when I saw that there was a Snake Eater trailer in the game's showcase, and we got to have a first look at some more gameplay. However, there is one game I do want to point out that was not in the Bethesda Showcase, but honestly feels like it should have been, and it's this game called Atomfall. Now, Atomfall is a game set in Britain after a nuclear disaster leaves a large part of the country in complete shambles. Sound familiar yet? No? Okay, let me continue. It's got a retro aesthetic that I honestly really like, but I have to be honest, this just sort of feels like Fallout done by another studio. And don't get me wrong, that's not totally a bad thing in itself, but there is a hell of a lot of crossover. From literally Tea and Crumpets Prime over here, to radioactive zombies, and even the retro aesthetic. So it's very obvious what has inspired the game, and I guess I should play it first and reserve my judgment for when I actually get some hours in it, but I won't be able to do that until 2025 when the game comes out. Either way, I'll keep an eye on it, and I guess we'll make a video or two on the channel when it comes out. So there you have it. There's a recap of the Bethesda Showcase 2024. Overall, I'm very excited for Indy and I'm very excited for Doom. I hope 76 fans enjoy Skyline Valley. I won't be playing it. I don't play 76, but you guys have fun. And of course, you know what? I think I'm going to try Starfield Shattered Space DLC because it genuinely does look a little interesting. I do have to say there is one disappointment I had with this whole showcase though. Todd Howard never came out on stage. You know, I was really looking forward to hearing some more stuff and figuring out what was true and what was embellishment in the next year. But I guess he just didn't feel like it, or I don't know, feeling under the weather or something, whatever. Either way, he wasn't there and it was a little bit sad actually. I wish he was.
Who's laughing now?
I want to know about you though. What are you looking forward to the most out of all these games? And heck, even across the Xbox Games Showcase in general. There were a lot of games showcased, so there's probably something for everyone, and I'm really curious to hear what you thought of the offerings. That being said, I'm Snail. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you liked the video. If you didn't, dislike it. Hit subscribe for more if you're new, and I'll see you next time. Take care, brush your hair, and peace, dudes.